I'm Brandon.
And I'm Jesse.
We're Cannabis School. Having cannabis-infused conversations
with everyday people,
cannabis companies,
celebrities,
and your mom.
Welcome to the Sesh.
I'll tell you, dude, when we cut ties with Steph's dad, he immediately went on this like crazy tirade of telling everybody these like horrible things.
Oh, yeah, they did this, or they said this, or they're like this, or don't trust them, or like, oh, this is how they are.
I told you about that whole like where I was pulled into that.
Oh, the dog thing.
Yeah.
Bullshit of that.
Yeah, but being contacted by Detective Champagne, right? I think I talked about that in a previous episode. But anyways, I mean, he implemented me in so many different things. And then, dude, there's this really cool family. The dad, he's an LDS bishop. He married Steph and I. I had a lot of respect for this guy. I mean, he helped us buy our first home, all this stuff. I mean, he is a stand-up guy. Great guy. He is a stand-up guy. Great guy. We just separated, you know.
Yeah.
She was going through therapy. There was a lot of stuff that came to light, and she was like, what the fuck? And it wasn't good at all. And so when she broke those ties, he started to gaslight everybody. Even Grandpa.
I believe it.
Like Grandpa was like, he came over with your mom had dropped him off.
Yeah.
And he was really upset. And we're like, no, that never happened. And he's like, well, why would he tell me that? And then
he manipulates people and lies.
Well, but I mean, dude, he was dead. I mean, he's dead. I mean, what else can you do?
Yeah.
Like, you go for you. I always find it funny when people say, well, I'm going to go pay my respects to the corpse.
Yeah. They're not there.
To the vessel, to the husk. They're not there anymore. You're going there to grieve. And just say that.
It's
like,
for me.
I'm going because I want closure.
I feel more connected to Grandpa all the time, just driving around.
I
Because
guarantee.
I literally sit there and I'll be like, because it feels like he's there.
Oh.
And I'm like, Grandpa. And I'm like, I'm struggling with this. Or like when I'm stressed and I'm driving, I'm like, no, the car's going to make it. It's okay. Grandpa's cruising with me. Like, it's fine. And it's weird because I feel more connected to him now than I ever did.
No, dude, it's because he's still there with you, man. I mean, he's in you.
But no, it was an interesting morning because, like, I was not expecting that. And it just kind of went, so she messaged me because she was like, hey, did you guys ever get your site done? You do this. She's the one who, I guess she said she's been a school teacher for a while, but she's no longer teaching school. She's been doing software developing for 2 years. She was like, if there's anything you need or you guys want, like, I just need experience and I would love to help a small business if it helps. So, you know, if there's something I can do. And so that's how it kind of started. But then because we've talked off and on over the years and that, like, it just kind of, that's how this conversation went. I was like, fucking A, like, wasn't anticipating it, but I think it's given me a good closure on it.
Good.
Because it's something that in the back of my head, I've been like, it's always an unknown of like, I always wondered.
It's hard because you hear about that and the narcissistic scars that are left on all those that are in the wake of that person. And the thing I think is funny, it's like this guy, did I tell you about that guy, Michael, that I know? He says he can cure narcissism.
Maybe.
Which is really funny. It's like curing narcissism. It's like, I'm going to cure water from being wet.
Right?
They don't know. You would have to recognize that there's an issue in order for it to go away. And they will never know that. Because they
can't see it.
They don't want. Well, even if they were shown a recording, they'd be like,
they can't see it.
You manipulated it.
Yeah, that's not real.
Yeah, you're full of shit.
It's
deep faked.
That's very weird. Jesus Christ. Oh, I forgot it is coffee. At the beginning. Erectia. Just a wee bit.
Yeah, it's really good though. No, it's just, I feel because I have had relationships where the other person was a gaslighter and all that, and you could define him as a narcissist, but I think of those who are narcissists are those who ruin lives. Like, you want to be labeling somebody as a narcissist? Okay, how many lives have they fucked up? Not like hurt your feelings or was just insensitive.
Yeah.
Like, because that's thrown around too much. Like, the guy realizes that the chick's nothing but a gold digging whore. And he goes, fuck you, I'm out. And she's like, oh, whatever. And she gets this attitude.
I mean, it's surprising because my dad, God, it's been how many years since he's not been with Wendy? Yeah, gross. I know. But in this last couple weeks helping him remodel an apartment, we were talking about it, and he was like, he's finally come to the realization that she would always wanted to live a life of luxury, glamorous, spending, all of that. So she would find that with a guy, live that, break up with him, try and do it all on her own, but doesn't have the job, the ability to sustain that or do that. So she'd rack up a lot of debt real fast and not be able to pay it. So then she'd find another guy, date that guy, he'd pay off all her debt, she'd go have fun, do all that stuff with him again.
That's some magical pussy, bro.
Something. Break up with him, rack up all this debt, and do it again. And somehow, my dad went back to this woman multiple times, paid off her debt multiple times, bought her many cars, bought like all of this garbage. He spent $25,000 on a ring for this woman. Like all this garbage. I was like, what in the hell? And yeah, I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
Dude, well, you were talking about, I'm just making me laugh because, and what are we still smoking the same screen?
Yeah, it's still a little egg roll.
This is very introspective, and I'm being very open right now. But, when I broke up with this one girl, it was at the end, and it just needed to be done, and both of us knew it.
Yeah.
And I used to think like, oh, yeah, she gaslit me a lot. She used me in many ways. But nothing too big because we just kind of existed in our own sadness or whatever the fuck it was. But it wasn't positive. That's what it was. I mean, we were sharing space. We probably had sex a handful of times.
Connect sometimes on trauma bonding, shit bonding of like jobs.
Misery loves company.
Misery bonding. Yeah, and that's just it. I feel like, unfortunately, at times, some of us get into a relationship in trauma bonding and misery bonding and whatever it is. And you're like, oh, hey, look, we connect and we resonate this. And then maybe that's not the best, healthiest relationship, but that's what you have. And then you're like, oh, okay, here's where I'm at. But then if they're still stuck in that, or you're still stuck in that, you're not actually working towards a healthier version of you.
Yeah, having a conversation and knowing that the conversation comes in time. You can't force that part. And so a lot of times as the other person over there, if you can recognize that there's definitely something going on, and if you can be cognizant of that one, you just have to have patience.
I think it's coming from feeling safe enough to open up about those
100%,
things.
100%, absolutely.
And maybe if that's something that you're wanting to foster within a relationship, maybe start by opening up with vulnerability. If you're wanting to get some from your partner, give a little to see if you can help open that door.
No. That's interesting you say that because it was something that I had talked about with another person about this whole role of being able to build these conversations. And it takes time for conversations to build because it's so complicated for many people. No wonder why everybody goes to Tinder, Bumble, or whatever. They're just like, wait a minute, you mean we have to talk? No.
Yeah, right.
Because now you can have a conversation. Because now there's definitely nothing in between you. You're just like, yeah, we've seen each other naked.
Right.
We've put our mouth on things. There's a stain that's never going to come out, whatever. Right?
Yeah.
Whatever has happened during that time. And now you can have a conversation. But now it's an awkward conversation because you don't know each other.
Yeah.
And you did something that was pretty intense. And now you're just supposed to be
vulnerable.
Yeah, extremely vulnerable, dude. Yeah, I mean, dude, I mean, guys won't even stand next to each other in public stalls, afraid that
the
they might
urinal, like
catch a glimpse of the other dude's dick, and
or
they
that
might
the
feel
other
something.
dude might glimpse at their dick. Like, I can't let someone look at my dick. That'll be gay.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
just taking a
gay
pee.
just from him looking. You
Yeah,
know,
right?
it's
Like
so
that-
funny, dude.
Well, and that's something that I think is funny too, because
I like to stand next to those people. Like, I just go over there and go, hey.
so Emily and all the girlfriends in our group, it's been like once a year they get together and they call it boob painting night. And they all get canvases and they paint their boobs and they put them all on the canvas and they have all this artistic whatever from boob painting.
All right.
And they do that every year. It's an annual tradition that they do now. They get together, they do dinner, they have drinks, they just make a whole evening of it. And it's become this tradition that they all love. But then they joke about it like, oh, the guys will have a guy's night and they'll do dick paintings. I'm like, yeah, we'll just be over there like, flop, where you go, flop, flop, just, place the balls on the canvas. And
Yeah, I was listening to that and I immediately was thinking about like this. Man,
it's a Kloonberg.
No, I lost it. It was a funny thing. It was a skit from a comedian, but it's definitely like that where it's like, oh yeah, it's talking about how he's like women have these like crazy stories of, when they hook up with another woman, they're just like, well, the boys were fishing.
Yeah.
And me and Nadine were just hanging out and, she slipped and kind of cut my breast and we laughed and she laughed and then we kissed and, then we went down on each other. It was very beautiful, but we're not gay. And it's like, what? And it's like, you'd never hear guys talking about that. Yeah, we were watching the game and I was reaching for some chips and I accidentally touched Chad's balls.
So what do? You give him a hand.
Yeah, he goes, and then we started to blow each other, but we're not gay. And it's just like, what? Like, it's so funny, but it really is. It's like this weird thing that we feel like we can't be near somebody else.
Or even like women where they're very more okay being, oh, here, let me see your boobs, or let's go try on these things. And yet guys like, oh, don't.
Not all women. I mean, they're definitely some women, but I mean, it's just weird. Like, yeah, why? No. Why?
It's just very different.
It's like somebody read a book and said this would be a good idea, but we're going to use boobs instead.
I mean, I like boobs.
Yeah, but that'd be kind of an awkward place. You go in there and there's just like, there's oil paintings on the wall. It's like, and I won't say the painting, but it was like the painting that used to be up there. It used to make me very uncomfortable. And it was the purpose of it was to make you uncomfortable. And then
I was just like, I understand you want to paint this, but what if my parents come over? What if your parents come over? Like, I understand that this is something you feel okay with, but have you fully thought this through? And so now it doesn't sit out here. So it's just
just above your bed or something.
It's in our room on the side of the wall.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, it's definitely a different thing, and that's why you don't yuck someone's yums. I mean, hey, there you go, right? I mean,
it's the great prophet Ruth says.
As Ruth says, right? We need to have like a whole cartoon series of Ruth.
I know. I actually thought of just trying to take her face and seeing what AI chat could create with her as a pope.
We need to make like a character.
Yeah,
that would be pretty cool.
Oh, and it's like Pope
and then
Ruth, and she runs through,
and then we have daily sayings. We'll just make up a bunch of shit, and she'll be over there.
I love this. Yeah,
let's make that. That'd be awesome.
I don't know,
Ruth. If you listen to this show, I'm sorry.
Or actually, Ruth, if you listen to the show, I'm not sorry. We still are waiting to have you on the show.
We need you on the show. Oh yeah, speaking of, I've got a guest I ran into on Wednesday.
With your car? Are they okay?
That's why they're going to be on the show.
They might be here.
I was like, I don't have any money, and he's like, just let me be on your show, and I'm like, done.
All you had to do is hit him with your car?
Dude, we could totally tell that now. So this is actually really funny because it's all over. So back during the pandemic, I was doing marketing and I got hired by this CBD company to help them come up with content. And it was really difficult because it was really low rent. Now, here's the thing, though. They had a roll-on that has been one of the best paying
really
CBD ones. All the other ones are just like a bunch of menthol. And it
This
literally
one just didn't smell mentholy.
no, it
Yeah,
smelled
but it
actually
was still-
really good.
Kind of like Coca-Cola.
But I liked it because it was like a stick, like a roll-on. Instead of the roll-ons are messy.
Yeah.
They're so messy, but
The stick wasn't super messy.
I liked it. She called it the trouble stick, and it worked really well. A lot of these CBD products work really well. I really like this one. But anyways, I worked with her. I mean, she just didn't have the budget or anything like that. We mocked up something. I was just like, yeah. And I tried a bunch of things, and we advertised it on the show, like just because. And I don't know if she got any sales from it. It was it was like in the early days of this podcast. And then randomly I got sued by her saying that I never did anything. And I'm like, whoa. She's like, yeah, I want a refund on that. I'm like, it was intellectual
the dumbest
property
shit ever.
So she took me to court, in small claims court. She won, and she came after me, and I had like literally no money. Like any money that I made went to any of the bills I could pay.
Yep.
And I'm just like, what the fuck?
It was the dumbest thing.
And then she said, finally, she's like, hey, I'll let it go if you guys do a couple commercials. So go back to the episodes and see which ones they are. I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
But it was funny because it's like, I don't even know why I brought that up, but I just know that it was funny.
Yeah, this is it's a very interesting strain. I do enjoy it, but it takes you, it's not like lose your train of thought. I feel like it's a very focused strain, but it's your mind goes to weird places with it.
Yeah, this is
Not obscure.
This is like going on YouTube rabbit holes of like the Y files.
But it's your mind.
Yeah. Your mind just starts drifting to
It's going through your
things.
mind files.
Yeah, the mind files.
Yeah. And so
that's what they'll kind of call this one.
Egg roll drops into your mind files and just goes on a deep dive.
The Wayback Machine.
The Wayback. Oh my gosh. That's the Mr. Peabody and yeah. Sherman, Mr. Peabody.
This is a good show.
Yeah.
I like those. I like kids shows too, man. Some of them are good. Some of them are fucking stupid as hell.
Oh yeah, but you have to watch them with your kids anyway. So then you're like,
stand
oh, I have to find something that only dumbs me down like so much.
Well, dude, it's like, it's the unfortunate curse that certain actors have. Like when we were talking about dumbing down, Ryan Reynolds in anything but Deadpool is something that's not going to do well. I'm just going to say it.
I love Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. That's like one of my favorite characters.
And I feel bad, dude. He has set himself on fire recently. Like really
that sounds
bad.
painful.
Yeah. Him and his wife. His wife started all this bullshit, but it just sucks because, he's just funny. He's the guy that's around who's always cracking jokes, and you feel funny around him. And I've heard like other actors are like, I fucking hate him. And I'm like, yeah, you probably weren't. I mean, who knows? People can hate whoever you want, right? But
I mean, I don't know him as a person. So
no, I don't know him at all.
I just like the character that he plays, and I think it's funny.
Deadpool is hilarious. And then now it's like either he's fired or he is at a minimal role in the MCU now.
What's the MCU?
Marvel Universe.
Oh, why?
Because his wife leaked the parts of the script
to
Deadpool Wolverine way before. And then they used Ryan rewrote parts in there to make fun of the guy that she and his wife and this guy who did a movie together, they're in a lawsuit together. And Ryan put this whole thing into the thing of Nice Pool is all about this guy. Anyways, it's just tragic because it went from this like somebody being egotistical to a full on like destroying somebody's reputation. Like it's not even destroying their career. Destroying your career would be like someone finding out that you're embezzling money. It's going to be really hard for people to trust you.
No, I feel like that's you destroying your career. I feel like for someone else to destroy your career, I don't know what that looks like.
I don't even mean career. I'm just saying like your reputation, it just is so much more worse.
Oh yeah,
it's like somebody
follows you everywhere.
Well, it's like having like a top performing OnlyFans site. Good for you. You're making a shit ton of money, and you don't really have to do anything.
Check out my OnlyFans.
Could you imagine your skinny ass on that, dude?
Yeah.
Like moving around on a bed or something. I don't know what OnlyFans does. I don't want to know.
It's easy. You can find me under Auschwitz number 46789.
Oh, that's gross. That's so gross.
No, it's actually starving Ethiopian number 6. So,
Number 6,
yeah.
right?
There's
it's
5
actually,
others ahead
It's
of me.
actually starving Ethiopian #6. That's what it says.
Yeah.
Right? It's a hashtag. No, I mean, that's the part, right? You get this like huge platform, make a ton of money, yet you could never really ever live that down. And it's always going to be a point of contention.
On how you present yourself. Because I think a lot of people have this whole different persona of like, they have their OnlyFans name and then their real life name and their real life things. And that pastor lady who I had on my other show, she has her own OnlyFans. She was an ex-pastor, but her name on her OnlyFans and all of her handles is her actual name. She goes by her real name. Everything she does, because she's like, I realize that I am not here for everyone. I'm not here to appease everyone. I'm not here to be for everyone. I'm here for me. And if I'm truly just me and living my life, those who are here for me will be here. And those who aren't will leave. And that's okay.
No, I totally
And I was
get
like,
that.
it was very interesting. But for most people, I feel like they live this probably 2 different lives in that, where there is a one side of a business aspect where they live that OnlyFans or whatever side, and then the other side. Here's me outside of work. Here's me as this, and there's a very distinct like show names, screen names. You know, oh, this is my book name, my author name. You know, a lot of people hide behind a screen name of sorts.
Okay.
You know, a gamer tag, something that's not their name, and I think it's very interesting to see just someone who presents both together as the same, versus I think a lot of us have personas that they play.
Oh,
for
absolutely.
different
I don't think
places
there's
or people or things. 'Cause
even
it's
the
like,
person who says that I'm always me is not going to always be me. There's parts of you.
Yeah.
There's 3
Well-
parts. There's your personal, there's your private, and then there's
Yeah.
your secret life.
But even like, I feel like I'm mostly the same person. The only difference is I might not say as many dirty things and I might not really swear as much, depending on who I'm around. Like normally, I don't say fuck in front of my family. It's just a courtesy because I know that for them is abrasive and they're very...
That is hilarious. I did not know that. Like you consider that word abrasive.
For my family, 100%. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. What family are we talking about here? Your mom and all
My
that?
family.
Oh, yeah, your family. Well,
So Curtis, Alec, I can say that. That's fine. But Jackie, honestly, I mean, like my parents, external family, like if I were to show up to the Holt thing and go in front of all the Holts, probably wouldn't say fuck.
that's funny.
If I went down to all the elder side, I wouldn't say fuck. You know, I'll say hell, shit, damn, whatever.
Dude,
but
I've
I
said
won't
that
say fuck.
Randy and
Greg.
Greg,
Mhm.
totally.
But see, that's just
But,
how...
but your dad, no. I keep your dad at an arm's distance because I don't know what I'm going to say that may offend him. So I'm just like, meh, we're good.
Yeah. See, I've learned that most things I say will probably offend him. And so I'm just going to have to let him get over it and we'll have some hard conversations.
Yeah,
So,
I've normalized a lot of that in my household. I mean, and you know what? I've got kids that are like, I don't
Yeah.
swear. And I'm like, that's
yeah.
cool. Like my little boy, he's like,
That's okay.
I don't like that. And I'm cool with it. But like, you know, my son yesterday, he goes, fuck, I'm scared about going to the dentist tomorrow. And this is a conversation we're having and he's 15. And I'm like, and I'm totally fine with this. My wife's sitting at the table and she's on her phone. She can hear him.
it's
She's not
because I
going to get
thought...
upset.
So when I grew up, my dad never yelled. Or he yelled all the time.
Good.
But he hardly swore.
No, you're
And the
yeah,
only time he would swear was if he was really pissed. And you knew if he was swearing, you sure as hell better not be anywhere near. And I didn't want my kids to ever feel that way. Like, oh shit,
that
dad
makes
said
sense.
shit. Well, I don't want it to be, oh shit, he said shit or damn or hell. Now I need to be scared or nervous because he said this word. well, couldn't it be just that that word is just commonly used? Because instead of going, I only use this when I'm really pissed,
That's
really
the context
fucking
that you've
irritated,
learned from. Yeah.
then I'm going,
Makes
well,
sense.
then they learn that these words come out, you better be worried. You better be scared because dad's
I'm so
pissed.
sorry, dude.
And I'm like, I never want my kids to feel that way. So instead, it's, I will say fuck. I will say shit, hell, whatever it is, because to me, it's just a noise. It is just another noise. And
No, it's a
I
word
can
that
use
has
very
it has meaning
eloquent,
behind
long, elaborate words. But to me, does that really benefit anyone? Do I really think that most people today speak in that way? Or am I going to have a disconnect because I'm going, well, I'm choosing to speak above you? Like, yes, I
it.
can.
So wait a minute, where are you going with that? Like you're saying, like if anybody uses a word that maybe
No, because to
bigger
me,
to
it's
describe-
just a sound. So I'm not choosing it as like, well, this is an offensive word, this is an unoffensive word. It's just fuck, or like you should be worried because I'm saying fuck now, or it's not an angry term or anything. It's just, to me, it's a word. It's not classified as like, hey, this needs to be tied to any sort of feeling, emotion, anything. It can just be used anywhere. But I'm also not having to talk incredibly highbrow where I'm like, oh, well, I just don't swear because I'm above
I
that.
see where you're going with that. Yeah.
Because when I've had talks with my dad and we got in that argument and I said fuck twice in 5 minutes and he got frustrated about how that's very lowbrow and uneducated. and I was like, and so that's what I'm saying is, it's not necessarily that it's a lowbrow or that it's, that I don't need to speak highbrow of like, oh, I'm talking down or like, oh, I only talk in these types of ways.
Yes.
I'm like, I can talk on a way that someone else can understand.
Okay.
Because that's where most people talk. Why use very eloquent or high words when most people aren't using those? They're going to go, what the fuck did he just say? Why is he throwing that in? Do I have to go Google this word?
Well, you can feel the intent behind it, especially with the inflection that's coming with it. Because now you're just like, you're doing that because you're upset with me and you want me to feel lesser than you.
But it's the same, to me, that's when I'm like, it's the same as them going, frick, heck, dang, gosh.
No, they're saying the same thing.
And that's, I'm like, all of these
Euphemisms.
things, when you do them, they're in the same tone, same inflection, same sentence structure, everything. The only difference is you're changing the noise that's made and choosing to get offended by the noise that I make in that exact same spot.
Exactly. It's like you could go out there and swear in another language and nobody's going to know the difference.
They'll just go, oh, okay, cool. He's being fancy. He used French there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so highbrow.
It's just like, mierda, right? You said that and somebody be like, oh, what is that? Is that something that you put on a taco?
Yep.
Like you could.
Oh, that sounds spicy. Oh, it is spicy.
It is spicy. It's spicy shit. There you go. Have some
that's just it, and I think that's something I never wanted my kids to feel. So I think it's great when I see kids or that do it because I'm like, as long as they use it in nice ways, I'm like, because to me, I'm like, I will never swear at my kids. Hey, you're a this, you're a that, you're a whatever.
No.
I will use swear words like, I am so fucking frustrated. And they will hear fucking, but it's not you are this or you are dumb or like there's never a you are this. The swear word is never towards that. It's just an exclamation. That's it.
Yeah, no, I typically now use it as just part of the lex. It's just part of my daily vocabulary. Yeah. But I understand what you're talking about because as you know, I'm very big on tone and intonation. What's the meaning behind my words as opposed to just saying the word itself. And so I know exactly what you're saying with the kid because I won't get pissed. Even if something happens in front of me that could be really frustrating, I don't swear anymore because I don't want them to think that I think that this is a frustrating moment. They usually hear that, and it usually is. I mean, nobody says it like, unless it's the shit. This is the shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that's fucking dope.
Like this one guy is like, every word in the English language is great, but except shit.
What? That's one of the best words.
He's like, but the thing is, it's great because he's like, this is why he's a foreigner, and he's like, because it can be, hey, whose shit is this? And they're going, that's not my shit, right? Take your shit, but then you can shit but then you also going, hey, that's bullshit. Right, that's a bad thing, but then you could also go, "Hey, this is the shit," right? So it's the same thing. It's tone. Your tone can change the meaning of the word, and I feel for a lot of these people who get so hung up on the tone of the word, because if you said, "Oh fuck," like you're British, should be like,
Yeah.
I was talking to this British woman who owns this agency out in New York, and she was looking for a copywriter. And as we were talking, I was just like, oh, I'm not a good fit for her. Like, she has a certain writer she's looking for. So I was like, oh, that's no problem. Pretty soon. She's like, and, that's great. She goes, I'm LDS as well. And I'm like, okay. So I tested her because I'm like, she's from New York and she's British.
Yeah.
So we're talking. I'm just like, yeah. And I was like, it's a bunch of dumb fucks, but what do you do?
Yep.
And I didn't say anything. I just wanted to drop a fuck in there. And she goes, well, you can't fucking win all the time, can you?
Yeah.
And I'm like, she goes, oh, apologize. And I'm like, nah, I was testing you. We're cool. And it's the funny thing, it's that what you said, it's the euphemisms. Like the meaning behind your word is not the word itself.
Yeah.
It's the tone and intent. And so it's like the word fuck. Fuck's great.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, it can fit in so many things
Yeah.
in that too. And I'm like, it's kind of like that shit. You can place it in so many things and it can mean so many variations of stuff. And so like it can be used in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So
it's just a word. But the meaning, I mean,
yeah.
You can even take the word love and now the different context comes with it. Because what is that word used for? It's used for manipulation.
Often.
Right?
Yeah.
But it can also be used to be able to describe a feeling that's undescribable. Right? Because it's like we have to contextualize it. It's got to be tangible. And if it doesn't have a word or a meaning, it's something you feel and you can't really describe. That's really hard. So you got to give it something. And the word love is awesome for that feeling because it feels like the word fits the meaning. And that's strange too. The sound fits. So it's the same as the word fuck, like go fuck yourself. Yeah. Like, whoa, dude, that guy's pissed. Yeah. Or, hey, I can't wait for a real good fuck. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, that sounds like a great time. That sounds like he's going to be having an amazing time.
Oh, yeah.
And I forgot the fucking cake.
Oh, yeah. Or that's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, that's fucking disgusting. It's
or
just,
watch the fuck out. All
it's just an exclamation added to whatever descriptive word. Like it's just.
But that's the cool part is that the tone dictates how it works. And so it's so important to really understand that. Like I'm hypersensitive to it. So when my son, who's autistic, I'll say, hey, Nick, game time's over, dude. I need you to turn it off. He goes, okay. And my old mind goes, are you threatening me? Right?
Yeah.
Like, are you TP for my backhorn, right? This is like, but then I just go, hey, dude, are you just saying it because you're just doing a funny voice? He goes, yeah. And I'm like,
oh, okay. Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Okay, cool. Do not take offense from it.
Yeah.
But again, that's the.
It just sounds like it's in a smart ass remark.
It's
comment
a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
So you have to, if you don't understand, then ask for clarity.
Yeah.
But that's why I had to ask.
I make weird voices and shit all the time. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh, you do. Like, I mean, it's the same thing. Like, what's the best line with any significant other? Hey, you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. And you're like, now listen to that right there. Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. Right? Instead of, yeah, I'm fine. Or, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, it's just
I'm fine.
It's
and you're like, oof.
Yep.
And then what do you say? You typically want to go, you want to call it out because you feel like for some reason that's not going to go bad. And you go, yeah, well, you sound mad.
Yeah.
Fuck. Why did I just say that? Instead going, oh, and I just go, now when I hear that tone, I go, okay, you need some space. Because there's this thing inside me that I've had to learn that I don't need to fulfill, is that if they're feeling bad, it doesn't mean that I have to feel bad. And somewhere in my growing up, I learned that, where I need to feel the pain of others.
Yeah.
and meaning like if they're just frustrated and upset, is it okay?
Is that a learned trait?
I believe so, because when you look at children, they don't do that. What they do is they comfort one another. If you take toddlers,
What causes that? Because I feel like that's something
I think it's a protective thing.
Yeah.
It's a protective thing that's taught. It's almost like getting mad at your kid because they got hurt.
Yeah.
Why'd you do that? Like, I don't know.
I meant to. I was really just trying to experiment doing this and saw how far my arm could bend the other way.
Yeah. I was riding my bike and suddenly gravity took over and fucked my knee up. You're like, well, stop playing with gravity. I mean, it's always from a protective nature, right? But the tonality that's used, like now I need to be more cognizant of it. So like whenever I'm talking to my wife and I hear that she's upset, part of me is like, you need to feel okay. You need to ask her what's wrong. You need to find out if it's you that she's upset about. And if it's you that's upset about, then you need to propose a way to fix it. Like this whole thing used to go through my mind every time. And I know it goes through a lot of people's minds because they're just like, fuck. Instead of just going, the tone is telling me that either it's not important right now or that she needs space. No problem. I'm fine. Okay. I don't need to go into that. And she'll come up to me later saying, hey, look, I'm upset about this. I'm like, okay, cool. And it's understanding like when you leverage that and you start being able to do it, like it's something that I've been teaching for a while now. And it's so funny because you just watch people's faces when you use a different tone and they're like, oh, okay. And when you meet somebody who understands it and is doing it naturally, it's also, there's a form of it called paralinguistics. And when you're able to do that, like it's funny because the other person starts to mimic you. Like even down to the point, NLP with breath.
Yeah.
So I use that to calm people down.
Well, because you match them and then you bring them to match you continuously through it to where you, Yeah.
And then they all start, they start slowing down. And it's so cool because we have this drive to be connected to others and we'll mimic them. That's why it's like my boy who loves wrestlers. And I just think it's so cool. It's not a sports guy. It's not it's not on a sports team like LeBron James.
Yeah.
Fuck LeBron James. Okay. Let me tell you that right
LeBron James.
LeBron James.
LeBron James.
Not because he's great at basketball, not because he makes millions of dollars. It's because he feels the need to impose his ideas onto everybody else and that you should do it with him.
Yeah, I don't like that with anyone though.
No, I don't like when anybody does that.
Yeah.
And the best part is he's in the Diddy pictures.
Fuck that.
Same with Leonardo DiCaprio, dude.
Yeah, that was
a lot of them.
I don't know much about him, but yeah,
he's a quiet dude.
I'm really disappointed with just how many gross like people were in there. It's
weird.
Everyone,
dude.
I'm like, what in the fuck? Because so the court case that keeps getting pushed down is to go after child predator who molests children. And it just all this Diddy stuff and that, and it really frustrates me because it just makes me wonder how much of our system is just supporting of that. Because when this was reported and like the whole police thing happened, is almost a decade ago, and it still hasn't gotten to court yet.
Yeah, dude, and honestly,
and this is just one case,
dude. The reasons are as old as time, and it's those who possess a lot of money who don't want to ruin their image will pay to have it cleaned.
That's it. He had enough money to make bail and stay out, and his attorney has kept it going and pushing back this long.
Can you believe that?
That's it.
And then that's the thing, dude, because if this is a high profile case with some random dude who had a shitty job, he worked at Amazon Fulfillment Center.
Yep.
Right? He's pissing in bottles because they won't give him a break. and he's just like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go molest this kid. One kid molested, and this guy isn't anybody in society that's noteworthy, that has a lot of wealth or anything like that. Not that they're a shitty person. It's just that they don't have like a huge footprint.
Yep.
that guy would go to prison, key thrown away, getting ass raped in prison, or
Right
fucking
away.
killed
Right away.
right away. And if I mean he should tell everybody that he cooked books, right? I got busted for financial fraud.
But the thing is, that wouldn't matter because they put you in a separate section that only the Moes are in. So
Yeah.
everyone would know you're a Mo. Even if you told them, oh, I'm in here for this.
But
They'd
you
go,
think about that,
bullshit.
dude. That's like the description of hell is being trapped with other people that are like you. And everybody is aware of it, but nobody talks about it. Like, that's a special kind of hell.
Well,
And
that was what I thought because for me,
that's what you
I
thought
didn't
was going to
believe in
happen.
I don't believe in a heaven or hell. So I don't think there's this concept of this invisible guy in the sky who's going to judge and send anyone anywhere. So I don't feel that like him dying, if I ever went and killed him, that would value. Because it would literally chance that I go to prison, which puts more harm against my kids. And then it ends this life for this man who tortures children and causes trauma for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, but
And I'm like, the only hell I can imagine is the hell where he has the same exact experience he's giving to all these kids to him.
yeah,
And prison would do that.
I disagree. I mean, I look at child molesters as people as a punishable crime of death.
I know. And I feel like
And the reason
only
why I say
problem
that
is I want that, and maybe it's the monster in me because
No, you
it's
want
my
him to
kid,
suffer.
I want him to suffer. And if he dies, there's no suffering. And so the law-abiding citizen man in me is like, God, this is what I would do to that person. This is the type of torture I would do to that person. Like to put him through the things that he put kids through and stuff. But that's not who I am in the deepest parts. That's not something I really want to do at the same time. And I think a bullet in the head or something like that is way too good for a child molester.
Oh,
Or-
the why I suggest that
You know.
it's not for me. It's to prevent more harm.
Yeah.
Because what does that do? They can't be reformed. And they will only serve a small period of time unless they did a lot of kids. And
That's
there's
why.
actual proof.
Well, because his is lots of kids over
And-
lots of periods of time.
You
And
know
so
how
it's
it
like-
goes, man. It's going to go to trial. And
Yeah.
if they don't have enough evidence, they
know.
can't convict. And what happens?
He gets
He
let off.
stays out.
Yeah.
And he continues to do the same thing.
Yeah.
There's like this guy, he's like a serial killer. They call him the monster of the Andes, saying that he has killed hundreds of children up there. He rapes them and kills them. Hundreds. And he was in prison and then he escaped. And he's still on the loose.
What the fuck?
But, I mean, when we think about our system
Yeah.
is bad, that system is like, they don't give a fuck.
But that's my struggle is, yes, I do think like in that moment, the best option probably is to just put them down.
Yeah, totally, dude.
Like we do it with dogs. Oh, hey, this dog bit a person. Okay, well, you've got one time. You did it. Okay, well, now the next time that dog, we're putting it down. It is getting put down. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, your dog is dead. Well, we put dogs down because it's humane because, we don't let them get old and decrepit in that too. So why in the hell wouldn't we do the same for, child molesters?
You're protecting, and then that's the thing. It's a deterrent and it's a protection because when this reminds me of a really old Robin Williams stand-up comedy. His old stand-up comedy was great. It was all cocaine filled, and then it got
He was full of cocaine, or it was all about cocaine?
it was
Cannabis
cocaine
dose?
filled, and then when he was sober, it was really funny. But you knew he was still doing shit because he would say, "Oh, I'm sober now." Like you're not drinking, but got the Peruvian marching powder. But he was talking about, and this is the way I think about a lot of people in laws, and a law will be, this is the line. If you cross this, it's over. And then they step over that line. They go, okay, wait a minute. This is the line.
Yeah.
And if you step over this one, we're done. And they go, okay, if you step over this line, I'm not going to talk to you and we're not friends anymore. Like it just keeps getting pushed back. And so the crime isn't as bad. And it gets pushed down. Like my biggest issue that I saw that happened in California was this whole push to be able to allow to call them MAPS, minor attracted persons.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was like, that's the most fucked up thing. Like, I identify as someone who likes kids. So a pervert. You identify as a fucking pervert.
Oh, it's a dead man.
Yes.
And the thing too that needs to be talked about, like, you know what happens? It's always some crazy junior high school teacher. She fucking blows a fuse and sucks a bunch of dicks and fucks some kid.
Yeah.
And they're like good looking women too.
It boggles my mind. They're in the news and I'm like, you're like an attractive looking person. You truly do seem. So are you nuts? Like, what snapped that you went and you're like, hey, this 15-year-old, this like 12, whatever it is.
Dude, everybody at one point in their time has had this like twisted urge to do something, whether it was to push someone off a bike
Steal
something,
whatever it is, something that you're like, this isn't the moral compass I typically have been told to follow or follow.
But if you steal a car off of a car lot because you were stealing like gum as a kid and they go, why'd you do that? And you're like, I didn't know any better. Like, that's just stupid because you understand that it's there. And that's the problem that keeps persisting with it. And so it's just like, if you make it okay and normal and not that big of a deal, and if you get caught, don't worry. It could be a while until you even serve
10 years and there's not even like, it's finally getting to the court that they, there was a subpoena. We were thinking we were getting a court date and now it's 2 months pushed out, like 2 to 3 months. And it's like, okay. Fuck.
There was a guy recently that was convicted of killing his brother because his brother molested and raped his daughter, his little girl. And so what he did is he drove over to the house and beat him until he was unconscious.
Yeah.
And then kept beating him. And then he took it a step too further and he cut him up into pieces. So if he would have killed him and stopped and called the police saying, I killed my brother, here's what happened. They come over, act of passion. There was a guy in the 80s where his karate instructor was molesting this kid and then abducted him and took him. And luckily, because of milk cartons and billboards and all this stuff, they found that kid real fast. And they arrested the guy. And they flew the guy back. They extradited him back. And they brought him like on a regular flight. And the news cameras were all around there. And the father was at a payphone, turned around,
shot him
right on live TV. And he was acquitted.
Probably.
But then other places,
it depends on the jury. It depends on...
It depends on the laws, too. Like,
yes,
I mean,
every state.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
And it's those things like when... that's why I don't believe... what prison is for you to sit alone with what you have done and why you are there. And why you can't have freedoms. Why you can't go out.
We also put people in there unjustly. I wish...
That's a part
it's a whole different. Yeah.
It's been that's not just a current thing. That's been a forever thing, right?
Yeah.
Wrong people being convicted. I agree, and there's certain things that shouldn't require prison. I think that prison should only be for those who have hurt people, really badly.
Yeah,
and that's including financial. And they shouldn't go to some nice like white collar prison with fucking tennis courts and
it's tea time.
Pool.
Okay, get the crumpets, dear.
Dude, have you heard of like Jordan Belfort? He was served in. Jordan Belfort's the guy that the whole movie Wolf of Wall Street was based on.
Okay. Why is that name
so Jordan Belfort did when he went to prison because he stole millions and millions and millions of dollars from people who couldn't even afford anything, and he made all this money. He went to prison and he was like, yeah, it wasn't bad. Like he was in there with Tommy Chong. Tommy Chong was his bunkmate. He told Tommy Chong why he was in there.
Yeah.
Tommy Chong's all, hey man, you should do a movie, man. You should write a book. So he did and turned into a bestseller. And he's using that money, at least that's what he says, to pay back all those people that he stole money from.
Hopefully.
And that's cool. That's admirable.
Yeah.
But at the same time, dude, it's just so fucked up.
Yeah.
The laws allow you to continue to get away with things.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you have money, you can do it easier.
Yeah. So much easier. And as like this guy, like I think the most humane thing to do for society would have been to put a fucking bullet in that guy's head after the first time he did that.
I know that's true because even in the last 10 years since my kid's thing, there's been another kid who has a case going on right now.
Right.
From him too. And before that, before my kids, apparently, like I found out through all of this, there was another case like a decade before my kids' one. Like there's these things that it's like, okay, this is not the first time. This is a perpetual thing. And, so like you said, how many kids do you save?
Well, and think about it, like they don't, and I'm going to use the word sin, not necessarily in the religious context, but the weight of the word, what it would mean in that religious context. Like it's
it's a moral action. So it's a sin as far as a moral action, not a theological based action.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Societal sin.
Not theo.
No. I'm talking like a societal sin of doing that. What other things happen that require death? They call capital murder. Killing two people, or there's a certain intent, or the state has a different meaning for capital murder. But the federal mandate states of what they're doing, right? If they kill multiple people with intent, what happens to them? They're supposed to be, they'll put them to death. And what do? They talk about humane. What's humane? Humane to let somebody, if
I'm
you're
very curious what humane is.
Exactly.
It's a
what
very
did they do
gray area.
And dude, executioners have been around for a long time, but they were for far less. They were for far less crimes to be hung, to be shot, to be quartered.
Yeah.
Dude, there was far less crimes. Like, oh, did you hear about Kathy? No, they killed her. She ate meat on Friday. Yep. Fucking bitch.
Shouldn't have done it.
Yep.
She knows that's only a Wednesday thing.
Bitch.
Should have had a fucking squash.
Yeah, exactly.
Suck eggs, Karen. Suck eggs.
And how's her family going to feel later on when they took that shit out?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, so frustrated. Well, because,
and that's like laws.
Same with cannabis. How many people are in jail for stupid cannabis laws in states where now that's like, it's legal, and they're like, wait, everything I'm doing now would have been just fine, and I would be not put in jail for this. I would be out just fine for the same plant that my friends are using for this same stuff. And I'm like, I can totally understand that frustration or that thing, especially if a law changes, going, hey, this changed, we're not following this, but you're still being held.
Those kind of laws are bullshit.
And they usually stay on their record. It's not like, hey, your record's wiped clean, you don't have that anymore. It's like, hey, no, if you're trying to get a job, they run that, that's still on your background. Like, there's these things like
it's fucked.
That affects their life, their well-being, their like livelihood, all of this shit. And our system, I hate our system.
It's a legal system any way you shape it. And it, where we're talking like, this sucks and it's bad. Like, I totally agree. Like, I think that if anything starts to become legalized, immediately anybody who's in prison for that one, as long as it's a non-violent one, then, or nobody had to die to be able to get that. Yeah.
They should be released.
Release them.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, we will imprison people for ridiculous things such as moving a large amount of plant material, and I'm only talking about cannabis here, moving a large amount of plant material across an invisible border to get
in the same country.
In the same country, right? It's the same fucking dirt in those areas, yet all of a sudden it's different, and then all of a sudden you can go to jail for a very long time. But you can put your hands on a child.
Yeah.
You can destroy generations of people by doing that and
wander around freely. Just fine.
Yep.
Yep.
They'll put people in prison for far less, and that's why I think that there should be less. If the prisons are going to exist, it's going to be for extreme people.
Yeah.
And it needs to be extreme.
It's only my personal struggle because of the situation that I've been in with
Dude,
it.
Totally.
Because I think if I truly sat down and thought it through and like put logic into it and that, I would go, no, death penalty would be the best way for it, for humanity as a whole.
Imagine if he had grown up in a world where it was very, and I know this is like, there's Christians that are listening to this right now. They're like, dude, that's not the Christian way. I don't care. This is just how I think.
God put down like tons of people for they were horrible.
Yeah.
Even then, if they believe in the Bible, he drowned 90% of all fucking humans because they were sinful.
So there you go.
So the child molesters, according to God, would be just fine. It's biblical. Kill them.
Yeah, well, and literally
God said so.
Well, because look
just
at
kidding.
it. It's like the tree. I mean, what tree is what kind of fruit is coming from that tree? And if it's bad, it needs to be burned. Because it's not going to rehabilitate. We do that to animals, just like you talked about with dogs. Like the dog is put down if it bites somebody.
It's not safe to have out in, even in it's not safe to have. So they put it down. That's like, this is the best.
Rapists and child molesters. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Once you have done that, you have crossed the line, and society has continued to enable it.
Yes, and allow it just willy-nilly.
Why? And a lot of times it's underneath this guise of being humane.
Because if you think about it, if we started doing that, well, how many people like Diddy and all these other people who that is what they've done for so long and are really affluent, well-to-do people? I think that's why. I think that's why so much has been allowed to slide, is because we have such a large, high up people that are doing it, that as long as you're within, like we said, the wealthy, affluent percent that you can get out, well, then you are. Yeah. But everyone else, well, they're in jail, and then Mo's don't do well in prison. And so...
But that's the bad thing, dude, is that the Mo's that need it the most never really get there.
No. They're the ones who are out wealthy doing it tomorrow and hiding it.
Or paying. Dude, it's like...
Tim Ballard bullshit.
Well, dude, even worse than Tim Ballard. The Taggart guy.
His dad. I haven't looked into all his stuff.
Well, dude, that one, dude, like you got to think about, like, again, that for me.
I just know he was like child molester.
Well, okay, so his daughter had a friend that came over. And I think she was 15, 16 or something like that. And he coerced her into having sex with him. And they did it for a while, and then she told somebody. And then he got confronted. And this is one of the founders of Ancestry.
Yep. Ancestry.com.
And we knew his son.
Yeah, we worked with him.
Yeah. And
he tried to help me start a business too later.
Yeah, he's full of shit. But the thing is really horrible, is that he destroyed his family's lives.
Yeah.
Like, it's something that will never leave his family.
No.
And they don't, I mean, I think the guy served time. He served like 5 years or something.
Oh, maybe it was because it was consensual. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
know nothing.
Now put it in a different context. This wealthy, well-to-do business owner gets caught, served some time, but more than that, he had to pay a big fine. I don't even know if he served time, to be honest. He might have not had to.
I don't know.
And that's another bullshit thing, is that they can pay it off.
Yep.
Right? They can pay it off.
Money makes all the world of a difference. Well, even like, so, even when you get wrongly accused. So we had, Jeremy from Greenskeeper on the show, and he was talking about how he went to jail for something he didn't do, but because he didn't have the 100 and something thousand it would take to pay the attorneys to
he just had to stay in jail.
He had to go to jail for that. And I'm like, that's horrible that we do this to our system. Like, this is our system that we live in. Like, I've sat in jail.
Which is crazy. I've never been in jail.
You know, and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm a terrible, horrible person. Or that, you know.
They don't know you.
I know. But like, not something that I feel like I should have to go sit in a cage.
No, and honestly, like, those are the things that's why I feel that the penal system has become something that is penal. Brandon's favorite word. And snack. And
I do like snack.
Little snacks, though. Yeah. But anyways.
Bite size.
But fucking totally took me off.
The penal system.
You know, a lot of people don't think about that. The prison system is an actual industry, too.
Yeah.
And that's
partners with our courts, too. And so, because all of our courts are just businesses. And so each city you go into is just another business. And so,
well, it's like parking tickets, like, or speeding tickets.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, every cop tried to say, "Oh no, we don't have a quota." Yeah, at certain times of the month.
Which is funny, because when my brother worked for the police thing, he was like, "Oh yeah, we have quota. We had to get this many tickets. We had, oh yeah, so quota. All right. So the rest of you lying fucks, stop that."
Yeah. Well, I mean, and again, but what are you teaching those cops? So that this is what you go after, all petty shit.
Yeah, it's a business. It's not a protecting the people, keeping...
TV shows where the cops ride around, but they're like actually people and part of the community. Like that's such a fictitious. The reason why is because they don't emphasize any type of training of how to communicate with the general public. Not even they teach them how to use your gun, how to defuse them,
Not
and
even
how
much
to
with that.
and well, that's what they go.
So they're doing more
Here's
now?
this. No. They have steps they have to go through before they can go to force.
Yeah.
So they'll
They're
say
supposed to follow. Yeah.
yeah, there's levels of escalation that they have to follow, right? And so, or what I refer to as the circles of violence. So once they start being able to go past these circles and start getting closer to the core, then they can start leveling up their violence. So the level of violence is going to be pepper spray, then taser, then asp, and then pistol.
What is ASP?
Asp is the batons, the collapsible batons. Okay. And they'll use those, right? And people are like, "Oh, they can hurt." Yeah, they can hurt.
Yeah, it would hurt.
But they're thin enough that it's just going to hurt. You could break bones with it, but you would have to put a lot of force into breaking bones. And they're taught to hit the lower extremities and the outsides of the arms, but they don't. They don't. I'm all like, I'm going for the clavicle. I'm going to stop you dead.
Oh, fuck.
I want to make sure you can't use that arm anymore. Because I broke my collarbone one time, and if you lift it up, the little bones go clickety clack, and it hurts.
Oh, yeah, that sounds painful.
Yeah, just the
Hard
the,
no.
imagining.
Yeah,
it.
I've never had that happen, and that sounds.
It's pretty. Yeah, I jumped up. And
I've
I was
never
like,
broke a bone.
I've broken a few.
I've dislocated fingers. I've sprained ankles and stuff. I fucked my knee playing soccer. I've never broken a bone.
Yeah,
I've had lots of stitches.
I only think I have like a couple. Yeah, I've had a lot of stitches.
Yeah, lots of stitches.
Lots of stitches for sure. No, but I don't know. I know we got off until like almost well, we always do. But the serious note isn't necessarily like we need to change all these things, but honestly, as a community, we need to be more aware of this shit because we're so into our fucking digital lives and our pretend and what's in it for me. I'm looking more at it myself. I'm like, what do I need to do to be more aware of things? And I've been doing purges of social media and YouTube. I did a day where I only watched an hour total.
Dude, I'm fucking proud of you.
Right?
That's impressive.
That was pretty good because I was finding myself bored looking at it, and it was just like, okay, like I'll fast. I'm like, I'm cutting a fast because I need to lower my carbs to be able to get down to my sugar so then I can figure out what foods to add. And a good fast is really good to clear up the mind too. And dude, it's exact same thing. I'm doing the exact same thing with technology, like even games. Like I don't have to play every day. I just go, okay, I want to play, but I want to play for a good amount of time where I'm not having to worry about somebody kicking me off.
Yeah.
So I'm just like,
interesting. I don't think I've played in a few days at all.
nah. Like,
and I feel like right after Christmas when I got the wheel, I was playing more regularly.
Well, yeah, because you got time too.
But now, like, I feel like it's been the last couple of weeks. I have not played anywhere near as much, which it hasn't been bad, but I've literally felt exhausted, like so drained. 2 nights ago, it was like 8:30, and I felt like I was ready to go to bed. I was like, I can go to bed right now. I'm like, no, don't go to bed. It's like 8:30. Just stay up. Like
my wife's laughing because she's like, sometimes I'm falling asleep at 11:30, and that's early for me. I know.
Yeah, your kids are still up. I was like,
well, some of them are. Like my little, like Phoenix, if he's like really on one, he just got done watching a wrestling match, got him hyped. That kid will just, he's a ball of energy. But like my twins, they're pretty good. My son Max, he's 18. Whatever.
He's 18. That's a different story.
Yeah, he's 18. But I mean, it's, yeah, dude, you start to feel it a lot more. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I thought about getting into archery again. So I actually, because I lost my Turkish horse bow. That's what I want to use again. I lost the little thumb thing that I had been using.
Oh, the leather strap.
Yeah, but I bought the ring one this time. So I bought the ring. So I got that, and then I got a new arm guard, and then I thought, oh, I have the glue. That's why we stopped shooting, because either the tips on the one were coming off, and I needed to glue them so they stayed on. Because I had bought
What were you using? What kind of glue?
I hadn't glued them yet. Remember, we were just shooting a bunch and we kept losing either the back end or the front. 'Cause it was
yeah, we always lose it in
the
the
new
target.
bamboo arrows that I had got. I think it was either those.
The tips weren't
The
on
tips
very
were
good.
coming off, and I was like, oh, I have to glue these because they were losing them in the target. And they'd pull off, and I'm like, fuck, I have no tip. So I'm like, I have to get new. Oh, I need more tips, and then I need to glue everything on real nice.
I've got a really good glue. I've got an epoxy
Yeah.
that I'll just leave aside.
Yeah, so I've got one right here that I bought for it. I just never did it because we stopped using them, and then I
Yeah, we
got
need to
out
get
of it.
back into that. And that's another thing too. Like, guys, get out there, start finding something that's beyond your technology. And even if you're listening to, I mean, we're on your phone,
Yeah.
we're in your ear.
But what's your favorite like outdoor hobby? What do you guys like to do that's outside?
Or if it's not even outside, like what do you do that's physical? Do you go to
Oh,
the
yeah.
gym? Are you like a runner?
When you're not on your phone, computer, TV,
Yeah.
what the fuck you like to do?
All right, guys. Till next week.
See you then. Later.